Hey everyone, it's Star Wars 2 2000 of the Slasher Club. I've got Koji here and Gamer J.
Hey.
So I believe Koji wanted to go first on net neutrality.
Okay, so hopefully I can remember all the stuff that I said when you were recording. But like I say, from what I understand, I'm an IT guy. I've been doing IT stuff. I've had more IT experience than training in school. I've been doing this since I was like 10 years old. I've been messing around with computers and whatnot, and so I went to college for this kind of stuff. And we were going. I was in college during the time of the 2015 net neutrality thing. And the thing that I have on this is net neutrality did exist before Obama made it a law that it needed to be followed the way that it was already being followed. It did exist because it was an unwritten rule. It was pioneer technology. Nobody had a name for it yet because that was the time we were living in. We didn't have a name for it until Obama decided to say, okay, we need to regulate this so that there isn't any throttle downs or anything like this. And what was going on was AT&T was blocking people from FaceTime in 2012. Comcast was reportedly blocking P2P searches and all that stuff, like BitTorrent. They actually got a huge lawsuit over that. And so we already know that this type of thing is happening. We already know that what they're trying to do with getting rid of net neutrality has already been attempted in the past and has been attempted with just getting away with it. And it's not a good thing. Net neutrality is supposed to protect us from having that super dominating competition of the big companies that says, look, if you don't buy our stuff, you can't get access. And this is really what it's about. This isn't about, protecting the consumer. This isn't about anything other than protecting the interests of a few monopolizing telecommunication companies that are going to provide you a gateway to the internet. And realistically, what happened was, when this was going down and things were starting to get a little messy because people were trying to start blocking bandwidth and blocking Netflix and blocking FaceTime and all this other stuff, this was starting to become a controversy back in 2015. So what they did was Obama was like, okay, well, let's just keep it the way that it has been. Let's make a law that it needs to stay the way that it has been, and we're good. But, I personally think that it's just the whole drain the swamp mentality as far as Trump is concerned. He's just wanting to undo what Obama did. Not necessarily that it wasn't working, but just the fact that Obama did something and he needs to just get rid of that because it was Obama. Anything with the stink of Obama on it needs to just go. Not that everything that Obama did was bad. I'm not a fan of Obama. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of him. I mean, I'm one of those guys that would love to pick the brain of my enemies. So if I was ever to have a conversation with him, it would be the time of my life, just because I'm able to pick his brain. But I'm not fond of the guy. I'm not necessarily fond of what he did, throughout his presidency. But in this particular aspect of it, it was one of those things that was like, okay, I understand where you're going with this. I understand how it does protect the consumer. Yes, it might not necessarily allow the ISPs to do whatever they want, but if they're allowed to do whatever they want, then we aren't allowed to have what we are entitled to. So it just kind of, and the whole argument with Ajit Pai is that he believes that since we didn't have a terminology for net neutrality before, it worked fine without it. No, it was net neutrality. We just didn't have a law or a terminology for it. So now that you're trying to get rid of that so that you can, it's just ridiculous. He's trying to get rid of that because he wants to, he's in bed with his Verizon homies. And he's been there for a while, and they were like, okay, well, go to this and try to work your way up the ladder by sucking more dick or whatever you're doing to work your way up the ladder to get into the FCC chairman, whatever. I just don't think that he was fit for the position in the first place because of what I've already been trying to look up on him. A lot of his background is in social sciences, not telecommunications, not what FCC would need, but in social sciences, manipulating the people, basically, which is why he's repeatedly lying and why he's repeatedly acting like an idiot on TV, and the way that he's trying to make himself look smart. And I don't even know. I'm kind of rambling on that. But as far as my opinion is concerned on this whole net neutrality thing, it needs to stay. Congress needs to actually listen to the people and not their freaking wallets, and that's ultimately where people vote, is at their pocketbooks. But if we can actually get the Congress to understand that this was not a good idea, then we could possibly move further in the right direction. It's not over yet. They did vote on it today. The FCC voted on it today with, the grease palm, the bullcrap Republicans that are in the FCC right now, the majority of the FCC. I'm in a Republican state. I don't necessarily identify as either Democrat or Republican, but, when Republicans are doing bullshit, it fucking aggravates me. When Democrats are doing the same thing, it aggravates me. It's just, I'm for policy, not party, if that makes sense.
Agreed. What about you, Jay?
So, good.
Any opinion?
Oh, well,
You.
As far as the whole net neutrality thing goes, I mean, at first I didn't really understand it, but as I started reading more and more up on it, I started to realize that this really was an important law or bill, I think it was before it actually became a law in the Obama era. But now that I'm starting to see it, I'm starting to realize that really by taking this whole net neutrality thing away, all it really is doing is destroying and kind of like demolishing what America's supposed to stand for, like the whole freedom of rights and everything. Like, we're all equally supposed to be able to use the internet, and it kind of ruins the whole YouTube and Twitch platform when we have people out here who depend on these platforms for cash and money like this. It's serious. This is people's income. If you destroy this, these people may become homeless, or like, I don't know what's worse than that. You're just homeless. But as far as that goes, I mean, people have been using the internet. This is people's everyday go-to thing. When they wake up, people use the internet. Same people, they use the internet as their platform. Without the platform, they can't really progress or grow in their whole popularity. Like, people depend on the internet as a whole. There's just some way to create some type of cash flow for themselves. And without internet, we won't be able to connect to people around us. We'll pretty much be stuck in what we see in the community that we actually are living in. We can't connect to anyone outside the country. And I feel like being interconnected internationally is very important in today's world, especially with how technology has progressed.
Well, I'm actually one of those people that didn't really do any... I didn't even know what net neutrality was until today, until one of my teachers talked about it in class. And a bunch of people on most of my social media were asking me to talk about it, and I didn't even know what it is. My partner knew more about it. My partner knew more about it, but she didn't really care. She didn't really want to talk about it, so that's why she's not on. But I've heard a lot of things for the backlash of the banning of net neutrality or repeal of net neutrality, where YouTube's gonna be at least $30 just to use it. They're gonna do the same for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, all the social media that everyone uses these days, and the rich are gonna be able to use it, and not the people. Say about 60 people are gonna be able to use it, where everyone else is gonna get screwed over, and they're gonna start losing money, so I even talked to my parents about this, and they agreed that there's a huge possibility that they're going to repeal the repeal, since they don't want to start losing money, so it's basically going to come back and bite them right in the ass.
Well, here's a counterpoint on that as well, because how this works is it's supposed to get the ISPs so much money that they can end up bribing these guys. So if you think about it, they can buy these guys in Congress off, saying, oh, hey, if you vote for this, then half of the profits that we get from this illegal bullshit that we're making legal is going to go to you. So we're sponsoring you to support our vote, not the people's vote that want this to totally, want net neutrality to stay the way it is. We don't care about them. We want you to care about us. And realistically, they have enough money to throw around, and that's where it gets kind of scary. And what are you saying where you didn't really hear about it until recently? From what I've actually looked at, they haven't talked about net neutrality since when they were bringing up that they were going to repeal it in like May, I think it was. From May to now, I think it was maybe accumulatively on like all the mainstream medias and whatnot. Accumulatively, it was somewhere around maybe an hour and 20 minutes total of time talking about this over the last 6-7 months. So they don't want people to know. So a lot of this isn't going to go on the mainstream stuff because this is extremely important for them to sabotage. So they don't want anybody to oppose it. And so that's why they want to have this whole thing with the net neutrality, or the repeal of the net neutrality, because it also allows them not only to block specific stuff that they don't pay for, but block stuff that people in that particular hierarchy don't want other people to see. So truth can be left out and blocked. Why? Because, oh shoot, we don't want everybody knowing that we're all pedophiles up here in this whole Pizzagate scandal, which you probably haven't heard about as well.
I actually have.
You have? Okay, cool. So you're familiar with that. And this is also just another way to try to censor people like myself, or people like some of the independent medias that go around trying to find their version of the news and whatnot as well. And it just is one of those things to try to regulate what they want you to see. This is why I never was into television, because everything on the screen, every single frame, was intended for you to see it that way. To an extent, of course. And that's why I'm an avid video gamer fan, is because you've got that same kind of basic thing, but you're moving around in it, you're interacting with it, you're reacting and acting and reacting to what's going on, and the thing is reacting back to you as well. And other than as opposed to like movies and whatnot, where it's all just tunneled and channeled. You have to see this. You have to see this. You have to see this. We've seen it a lot with Facebook, even with the back when Facebook started, it was all just your posts were posted at the order they were posted, not who's got top stories and this, that, and the other. This is a filtering system that allows Facebook to be able to take certain words and be like, oh, okay, we're going to flag these words, and we're going to say, okay, we need to put all of these comments and these posts at a negative level in the stream, so that you have to scroll down like forever to be able to see those posts, because those posts are telling you things like the truth, or proposing that the Illuminati is controlling everything, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So they can now control what you see. And this is the big doozy for all of the internet, because we are the ones that need to be able to choose what we want to see. The internet service providers should not be able to dictate what they're allowing us to see based off of the FCC's regulations, and this will be regulated. They're going to highly regulate this to where you cannot have freedom of the internet. That's what they're doing. It's a complete lie. It's extremely brilliant of a lie. He's totally pulling the wool over everybody's eyes because he's charming. He went to sociology school. He knows how to make people freaking go, yeah, I want that. That's why he's doing what he's doing. And at the same time, it's kind of backlashing on him because he looks like an idiot when he's talking on TV. He really does. He looks like a lying sack of shit, a Jeep pie does. A sheet pie. There we go.
They're basically doing what they do with every history class in public schools. You never hear the truth. Like, you never hear how Lincoln tortured a bunch of soldiers in a fort by himself, or you never hear about Hitler's son.
A way to get himself hyped up, and it was he used to be one of my favorite presidents until I figured out some interesting things. I'm still skeptical about some of that information, but as there's a I think it came out either in the late 80s or early 90s. It's a movie called Sneakers. It's great if you're into myself, into hacking and IT stuff. It's great. It's one, and he talks about that. The bad guy ends up talking about who ends up controlling the information controls the world, because we are in that information age. If the people are controlling the information to a specific degree, we are only allowed to get what they want us to see. So if they're going to brainwash us to the idea that, oh, this is what happened in history because this is all you're allowed to see, you can't even look up actual research because we're blocking it, now we can rewrite history and make it look like something that it wasn't because, the evidence is gone.
True.
Blocked.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna end the video. Thank you both for showing up. Any ending comments?
I think mine would be that if Republicans, if there's any Republicans that end up getting a hold of this video or even seeing any kind of things, like or even Democrats, I just think that there needs to be some action in Congress, and we need to be able to vote on it ourselves. I don't think that the FCC should be able to have all the voting power and just say, "You public, we're not going to let you vote on this. We want to vote on this, and we know that if we vote on this, we'll win it the way that we want it to win, especially when all the public doesn't want this." I mean, it just shows the lack of communication, the lack of by the people, of the people, and for the people that these people up atop in these government positions are getting these days. It's just demolishing the whole by the people, of the people, and for the people. It's for the big companies. It's by the big companies, and it's of the big companies. And that's not the people. That's just the big companies. So I just wanted to say in conclusion that net neutrality needs to stay, and if the way that it is, because if it doesn't, it's going to cause some major bullshit. We might even go into a civil war over this. I wouldn't be surprised. But, all for the sake of this guy getting a mention. No, Congress, you need to look at that. You need to look at that. I don't care what money they've bribed you. If they've bribed you, still vote no anyway, so then they can try to sue you, and you can be like, oh, no, these guys were lobbying. They're in the wrong. They need to get shut down. Justice is what needs to happen. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, all I have to say to conclude is that hopefully any celebrities or anyone within power, even the people who are worried or scared about net neutrality being repealed or Congress saying yes to the net neutrality being repealed, I think all they can do right now is really just try to talk to Congress and try to get them to just stop this whole movement that the FCC is trying to create towards the end of, the internet as we know it today. Like, that's all I have to really say to conclude, and that really they should stick to the true roots of what America as a whole stands for. Because I feel like because they're going off doing whatever they want to do, the money-hungry, power-hungry companies, that they're going to start losing a lot of citizens and a lot of loyalty to this whole country. And trust me, when I say this, they do not want that. So hopefully, just hopefully just try to keep net neutrality alive. Because like the other person said, you can really start a civil war over this. And this can be something very detrimental to history or just life in its entirety. So yeah, that's it for me.
Well, my conclusion is very short, and honestly, if you're watching this, any Republicans, Democrats, or in the middle, welcome to the age of screw freedom of speech. Because it's here, ladies and gentlemen.
And this is an infringement of freedom of speech. It really is.
So yeah, thanks again, and this has been Star Wars Dude 2000, collaborating with Gamer J and Koji, signing out.